Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Angela Kamanzi. Okay, I guess you all know me. Don't need to introduce myself much. So this evening, I'm very happy because we are going to talk about a subject that is, at least I find so important for businesses, and that is how to set up a business plan, a business plan that is functional. And our coach this evening is Timothy Ngige. Timothy Ngige is an SME business strategy advisor, a trainer and a coach and a consultant with close to 10 years experience in business planning, business modeling, SME capacity building, and strategic planning. In addition, Timothy has provided capacity building and training to a number of groups and SME right from the start-up level to the growing enterprise. Timothy is the lead consultant at Crystal Clear Coaching and Consulting Limited. There is a lot to say about Timothy, but I would prefer that he introduce himself further. Timothy, do you have something to say before we start asking our questions?
Basically, you've said the much about who I am. I normally don't speak much when it comes to introducing myself, but I'm one person who is very passionate about working with SMEs. I've worked with SMEs for close to 10 years now, from SMEs in different sectors, those at a very small stage of the startup phase, up to those that are growing at we're calling it the acceleration phase. So, and it's been a humbling experience. And and one of the things that has also been very keen and I've really taken the time to build is on business plans. The need to develop what does it mean to have a good business plan? What are the things that we need to understand about a business plan? Of course, there's so many myths that are out there. There's a lot of misconceptions that people say about business plans. So I've been able to just build my profession around that area, and I'm here to also learn as much as possible.
Timothy had mentioned that you can create a business plan on your own. So most of the time, you find that people go look for them a business plan, which is usually very, very expensive. So I would like Timothy to kindly explain what are the steps when today I decide that I want to create a business plan for my business. What are the steps that I need to take? Which are the things that I need to put into consideration? And how do I put them all together into one document, which is going to either, number one, help me get funding or...
It's an interesting question. And the first thing I can tell you is that, yes, it's possible to do a business plan on your own. However, there are consultants out there that do business plans on behalf of other people. I say that because I have done that before several times. Of course, there's always that challenge of if I get a consultant, they'll be too expensive. I don't have the money to do that, or you're starting up a new business. 22 situation on I get this consultant, I pay him so much money. What if my business does not peak? There's always that risk. So I'm just going to give you a very, very simple guidelines on how well you can develop your business plan. Because ideally, your business plan doesn't have to be a 100-page document or a 50-page document or those big manuals that you see that people are doing. And I normally call them academic handbooks. It can actually be a very simple document that can be applicable to you. Of course, one of the things that I always say, when a number of things you need to ask yourself. The first one, who is the audience? if you're doing this business plan to get funding, a lot of funders have their own expectations. They know there's always something that they're looking for in that document. There are some funders who have gone a step further. They actually give you a template of how the structure of that business plan should look like. And of course, there are some other funders who will tell you, I just give me a 3-page summary of what your business is all about to try and get my attention. So the most important thing is, who is the audience? The first thing that you need to be able to identify is the gap, is the opportunity. Let me give an example. I think I'll use a very practical example. Is the president a short while ago has announced security lockdowns, which not many of us are happy about, but we have to obey them. And of course, for a long time, since last year, we've always been having this, what is the next thing? What is the post-COVID? What are these ventures that we want to venture into? So a lot of people are going to be affected. So if I want to create a business out of this opportunity, I need to ask myself one question: days to come, what is the biggest need right now? And you can look at it in terms of any sector. Of course, bars and restaurants have been highly affected. People are not going to buy alcohol from the restaurants anymore. So maybe you might think of coming up with your own alcohol boda courier service. I don't know. Because it's meeting a particular need. Not that I want to encourage alcoholism.
As long as KBL remains open.
Exactly, and they're going to make money, and you're going to make your money. So ideally, your business it should be able to address a particular gap. And why I'm really insisting on this is I've seen a lot of people in business. So they start up a business. Majority of people start up their business because they know this biashara has a lot of money, or people in this sector, there's a lot of money.
Yes.
Or my friend started selling spare parts, so I also want to start getting into spare parts. Or somebody opened a wine and spirits, I think I also want to do the same. You're starting a business based on somebody else's experience. So
yes.
the farthest you can ever grow is how that other person grows. But even let alone that, the other person who started that business, they went through a certain process of starting that business. So a lot of time we don't appreciate the process. We want the end result, which I want to make money very quickly. So that's why I'm really insisting on that. I need to attach it to a particular opportunity. But then again, as a prospective entrepreneur, I also need to ask myself one other question. Yes, there's a gap here, but how long can I be able to sustain myself in this business? If right now, if I go back to the idea that I had said, the delivery business for alcohol, say in a month's time the restrictions are open, hotels are back in operations, things are resuming back to normal, I need to ask myself one question: will I still survive in that business? So if I cannot see my business running more than a month or more than 1 year from now, then I would not advise you to venture into that business. So step number one is the gap, that opportunity. And now step number two is now taking that opportunity, and now it's like you want to create a body out of it. All right. Now this is what I mean, and this is what I mean in terms of creating a body. I need to ask myself, okay, fine. So this is the opportunity. These are the people that I think will buy my products or my services. So I need to ask myself, fine, how do I get those people? What is my marketing strategy? If I am doing a product, because you see there are product businesses and there are businesses that do services. If I'm doing product, how is my packaging? What will be the cost of my packaging? All right.
Yes.
And how finances. All right. So it's a chain. Of course, now when you're doing services, depending on which line of service you want to venture into. I think service is a bit tricky. Service is about reputation. Service is about brand. It's about loyalty, because service is not really something I can touch, right? And a customer experiences a service, and it's based on that experience that they will be able to come back. So I need to ask myself, I'm getting into this service line. What is that experience that I want to build that will get me repeat business? And of course, then that boils down to other things like where will I be located? Is my target market, is my target population in that market? Are they in that vicinity? What will it cost me to put up there? And of course, now you look at what are the permits involved, what are the requirements, the licenses that you recall that. Then now you're talking about the finances. What is my financial plan?
Okay.
How much capital do I require? And of course, this is where it gets very tricky.
Yes, I remember
it gets very tricky in capital.
Yes, I remember we did a business plan with a friend. We were never able to do the financial part.
So I know when it comes to the finance part, I know there's a lot of questions. There's a question of how do I access capital? How do I raise funding? Of course, that's a whole conversation. I'm probably possibly at the point of this masterclass. I'll give the spiel away on how you can raise funding. Of course, some are lucky. Some of us could be lucky. You could be lucky to get funding from a source, or you have collateral. You can get funding from a financial institution. But now there is that person who has a very brilliant idea but doesn't have funding. Now, in this whole process, there's also another very key element to consider, which I would call a step 3, is how to execute the rolling out part of that business. Now, the rolling out of that business, it involves a number of things. Apart from everything I've mentioned, like location, like licenses and all that, those are just a bit to roll out that business. Who am I going to roll it out with? And this can play in different ways. Because let's say if I am getting into a courier business, the business that we're talking about, I might have the money to go buy bodabodas or the motorbikes, and I can fabricate them, I can get the drivers, but it doesn't mean that I have the experience of running such a business.
Okay.
So in my line of thought, or in the process of putting all this together, I might need to look for someone who has an understanding of that segment. Mm-hmm. And I know it's not easy. So for some, it can come in as a partnership. You're partnering with someone, you're setting up this business, you're giving this person shares, and this person has experienced that line. And so you agree that you're going to do business development, and that person is going to do the technical part, making sure that remittances are being done, making sure there's adequate distribution, and things like that. So there's the aspect of the people. Mm-hmm. So it can be an experienced person, or you could have that experience, but you need to have people on your team that will support your business. Of course, in the beginning, at times in the beginning of a business, sometimes you're forced to play multiple roles. You play the role of a marketer, you're the HR, you're the admin, you're the one doing the books of accounts, you're doing basically almost everything. Because probably at that stage, you've not reached a level where you're comfortable enough to pay salaries. But I think right now there's a lot of things that have come up. There's a lot of solutions that are now coming up that are able to assist SMEs. There are a lot of products that are now being launched into the market that will be able to help you with the bookkeeping and just basic things. But also, I always say one thing: some things you can teach yourself. It's good to have a professional, but some things you can teach yourself. You can teach yourself how to use some of these accounting softwares. The reason why I'm saying that is I've seen businesses close down even within 6 months or since they opened. A lot of capital was put in, a lot of time was put in. So you got in someone to do your wrapping on with your figures, you end up losing a lot of money. So even by the time now you're thinking how to recruit, how to hire, how to put people on board. Always try as much as possible to have everything in your team on your fingertips. Even when you're doing the business plan, it's okay. And I don't know if there are any consultants who are in this platform. I'm not spoiling your business, but I always say, even if you're engaging a consultant, be part of the process. You can tell me to do for you a business plan, but if you do not understand what has been written in that business plan, you have no idea what's really happening. So that I will say is really my simple way of how best can I do a business plan. What tools do I need to have in place? What are some of these things? But remember, it always starts. What does the customer want? Who is the customer? What is the opportunity? Okay, and how can I be able to capitalize on that opportunity?
So I would like to mention, there is something I would like to mention, because I got actually 2 opportunities of doing a business plan. The first one, I did it with a friend, and it took us 6 months. It is the one I was saying we were never able to do the financials, because and then we left it aside saying we'll do them. We did the business for 6 months, 6 years before closing it, and we had never done it. And the reason we closed it is because we realized that one of the key players of the business was not was not in a position to play properly, which made the business unviable. Okay, what we did actually, we were training and placing house helps. And we started it because we realized there was a huge demand. There is actually a huge demand of professionally trained house helps. It is still there up to now. Even though we closed the business in 2015, up to now, people refer their friends to me and say that I do the business. So, but we realized that the house helps or potential house helps themselves were not interested in the training. Because if you give someone, let's say 30,000 to attend a training so that they can become a good house helps, they will rather they will take it in catering or hair, you see, something else that will help them to get what they consider a job, because most of them don't consider house help as a job. So what advice would you give people to avoid such a fit? Because when we were doing research, we never actually asked the house helps what they think about. We focused on the employers because we thought they are the ones with the money. They will be bringing their house helps for training. But the fact that the house helps were not ready to play is the one that made us close the business. And we were not alone. At that time, I knew about 4 businesses that had opened doing the same, and they closed.
Yeah.
So how would you advise someone to avoid, not to miss out on something that's crucial like that?
There's something I learned one time when it comes to marketing, and you see there are different kinds of customers.
Yes.
If I can pick a very simple example, like a shop that sells men's clothes or men's outfits.
Yes.
I learned that there are different kinds of customers. You see, when it comes to, let's say, a shop that sells male clothes, for example, you'll notice that a lot of the attendants are ladies.
Mm-hmm.
However, in every transaction there's an influencer, and there's the person who decides, and there's the person who owns the budget. So I could go to this shop, maybe I want to buy a trouser, but it will take the influence of my wife for me to pay for that trouser.
Okay.
The target is me, yes. But I'll buy a trouser today and I can stay without trouser for months. I don't even think of, I mean, I'll survive. And yes, eventually when I go there, I'll pay for that trouser. But it's my wife who has influenced that decision.
Okay.
In every so in every business, in as much as yes, I have a customer that I am targeting, I need to ask myself one question: who is the person that influences that customer to buy, to spend the money?
Yes.
Even when you look at some in the past, some of the events for kids that have taken place, you'll notice one thing. When as a parent, you're taking a child to an event, like the ones that have been sponsored by Willow in the past and Churchill and all that, the cost of a child is higher than the parent.
Yes.
So even if you have 3 kids and it was 200 shillings per child, you will pay 600 shillings. And maybe you will pay 50 shillings as a parent.
Yes.
Yes,
I've seen such.
the target is ideally the target is the adult, but you're using the child to influence the parent to spend. So I would say it could be a bit of psychology, and it's really knowing how to target. So if I would look at, for example, the business you're talking about for the domestic workers, by the time a domestic worker is coming or is being dispatched, the only focus is one: to get my salary, and that salary will help me to take care of my child who is in the reserved areas, at the rural area. Maybe they have left their child somewhere. So that's the only priority. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, the employers or the employers of the domestic workers, they would see a need for that training and they would be willing to pay for it. But now the other question is, how do we translate that message so that this domestic worker will be able to understand that I actually need to go through this training? What will it benefit me? What value will it add for me? So you might have a very valid product, but how do you leverage between the employers and the domestic workers? Because at the end of the day, yes, a domestic worker has come and they have gone through training, they have been trained, they have been empowered, but when they go back, they'll be asked, so what did you learn? It was okay. They brought us juice, we had mandazis. I can't even remember what they said. They might not remember half of what we told them. So it's really create a need for them to appreciate the service that you're offering. So there are a number of ways you can go about it. So either I don't know if I'll repeat. Maybe I don't know if you had mentioned it. So either you create your own database of domestic workers that can be trained, that can go through a series of training, or and then even once you have deployed them, you can be able to have things like follow-ups, ad hoc meetings with them, checking with the employer. Are they performing well? Are they performing their duties well? Like, I think one of the things that I've seen with a few companies that do cleaning and the residential cleaning is they have a pool of domestic workers. Either they go every day of the week. Their job is to cook, to clean, but they come and they go. They come and they go. And of course, there's a value add to that, because I will not be worried. In case of any accountability, I'll talk to the company that is handling that. In case there's any loss, the risk is reduced. Okay, so it's really on how to look at that model and how best to roll it out. Bearing in mind, when you bring a domestic worker, you have to unlearn what they have perceived and try to put in a fresh thought.
Yes, that is true.
something that they will be able to accept. So that by the time they're being deployed, if you're deploying them, something happens, the owner of that house will call you and will ask you, what kind of a person did you send to me? There'll always be that question. So it's really, so I think the issue is, how do you control the process right from the recruitment, and how do you monitor continuously? Even if it is having domestic workers that you can deploy, like you can have a house where you're having domestic workers be given thrice a week, 4 times a week, and there's a particular program such that even if one is not able to be there, the other one can be able to attend. Or like what developed countries have, the babysitters. I don't. Of course, I know there's the issue of trust, but it's a thought. I mean, there's innovation, and I think Kenya, we're moving on. Africa is moving on, and gradually we're foreseeing a scenario whereby, because right now you might not take your child to a daycare center. What if I can come? What if someone can come and take care of my child for me? I don't know. Of course, there's a whole conversation behind that. So ideally, it's just looking at what models can work. If there's a model that has not been tested, can I test it? For what will be the response? And of course, what kind of team do I need to have? Because let's say if by the time you're deploying someone to take care of their child, at least you need them to have gone through some basic training on child psychology. Just at least, because it's your child. So you want to be careful that nothing's going to happen to your child. And of course, I know there's been a lot of issues of late. We've had children have been injured, some have been killed, some have been kidnapped, and it's a concern. So the question would be, how do we address that? So I think that's why the key is how to identify your customer. And as I had said, customers are different categories. You could be the one to buy that product, but it's only until someone else influences you to make that decision.
Okay. My biggest.
I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, and my biggest question with business plans is actually how to make them. How do you advise that if I have a business plan, I keep it alive, if I can say, because it is okay. How often should I look at it, consult it? Updating it takes time. I mean, if it took me 6 months to write it, I will not be looking forward to updating it. So how do you advise that I use it regularly to grow my business?
I think one of the things I would say is, yes, in as much as you've been involved in doing the business plan yourself, I normally advise this: have someone to work with you. Of course, I know it's a challenge because, of course, someone to be paid. I don't know what figures, but at least have someone that is willing to work with you on that journey. Of course, you can agree whatever you need to agree as something that is agreeable among both of you, both parties, but have someone who can be able to work with you. And then, as you're coming up with that plan, I would also, one of the things that I always recommend is your business plan should have some specific milestones. So if, let's say, I'm doing my business plan right now, I need to be able to indicate what is my milestone by August. What is my milestone by the end of the year? What is my milestone by the first quarter of next year? So that by the time, let's say, we're approaching August, I can be able to go back and see whatever we had indicated, are we achieving it? And of course, that's now where monitoring and evaluation comes in, because now you want to gauge, am I meeting my targets? Am I achieving my milestones? If I am not achieving that milestone, what could be the reason for me not to achieve that? Because I think one of the things that I've observed with business plans, you can come up with a very good, brilliant business plan, but I mean, it's just a bulky document if it doesn't make sense to you. I mean, a plan without a goal doesn't make sense. Ideally, the business plan should tell you that I need to have this in place. I need to have this kind of people. This is how I need to package my products. This is how I need to align my services. Then now the milestones should tell me, for me to achieve everything I have written, what do I need to do? I need to do registration. I need to get the licenses. I need to do this and that. But of course, we always get stuck at the capital stage. I don't have this money, and if you feel that you don't have that money, you get stuck. All right.
Yes. Some point.
And of course, now there's another question: how do I raise capital? As I said, that's a whole conversation. But I think I'll try and summarize it in a particular way, depending on the kind of business. One of the things I learned the hard way is when you're starting your business, even when you're running your business, humility is key. You have to learn how to be humble. In Kenya, we like saying vitu kwa ground ni different because things change. Someone had a target and they had said that by the first week of April, I am opening my restaurant. Then this is what has happened. Things change.
Yes.
So what I always advise is when you're coming up with your plan and you realize that the capital you need is somehow not achievable, break it down. Break it down. Okay. In some instances, I might need to partner. I might want, let's say, to partner with an organization that is already doing it, that has already made the mark, for me to be able to build some liquidity to build my business. Or I might need to look for a company that would be willing to outsource to me this kind of services or this kind of products as I build my brand identity. Mm-hmm. Okay, there are different ways. It's really just looking at which is the most realistic way that I can start a business. So if I realize that my business, I need 500,000, but I only have 100,000, apart from borrowing, if I do not have that capacity to borrow, what can I be able to do to build that 500,000? Okay. I know it can be a long toll. It can be a long toll to achieve that, and as I had said, it may not be a very popular way of saying it, because when at times, especially when you feel that this idea is so ripe, if you can just have someone to give that money, I'll make 1 million shillings within the next few weeks. And there's always that, but we have to ask ourselves that realistic question: which is the most realistic points I can be able to start and to run this business? I don't know if I've answered you. I hope I didn't go out of topic.
Not too much, but I was taking notes. So everything you said was very valuable.
All right.
Sophia, do you have another question? We have 9 minutes. Go.
Should we create a website before starting a business or after? And like for those who already have a business, should they proceed to create a business plan, ama it's too late for them?
Okay. So I think I'll start with the first question about the website. And I'll say this. By the time you're putting up a website, it means that your products are ready, your services are ready, it's go time. Mm-hmm. Because you can imagine, let's say you decide to import diapers, for example. Diapers, they're the ones for babies, yeah? Yes. And things to do for kids. And then you put up a very nice website, how to order. It even has a place where people can track their orders, but you don't even have a single product you have shipped or you have bought in wholesale. It can really mess you. So I would say, have a website, yes, but at least make sure that by the time that website is up and running, that you actually have something that you can be able to sell. Because people will ask, somebody will ask, can you deliver this to me right away? Of course, there are scenarios where you might want to talk to someone who can sell it to you at a particular commission, and then you can agree amongst the two of you, which is still okay. The thing is, the product needs to be available. Okay. The second question. So the second question was about if you're running an existing business, is it too late to do a business plan? I always say no. It's just that business plans are different. For someone who is starting a business plan, it will address that need. It's a startup business plan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for a person who is already in business, they can structure the business plan as a strategic plan, because they need to, because of course the business plan for an existing business, it needs to show where the business is coming from. It needs to be able to show the milestones that the business plan has achieved, and of course it also needs to be able to describe how the profit or loss has been, what have been the challenges, so that now when you're designing that business plan, you're coming up with a plan for the next 1 to 2 years, either to help you to expand, or you want to diversify, but you're looking at a plan for the next 2 years. How do I grow my business? Of course, now there are other companies or other SMEs that are diversifying into a new line of business, and they would actually have a specific business plan for that. But now they're doing it with the foundational business that has already been running for the number of years it has been existing. So yes, it's never too late. It's never too late. But then again, I always say it depends with every entrepreneur. It depends with what you want to achieve. Of course, when you're looking for funding, it's good to have one. But I also encourage entrepreneurs. Don't just have a business plan that is gathering dust on your shelves, or it's in your bulk folder somewhere on your emails. You've never even taken the time just to look at it and see what you had written. The reason why I say this is there's a business plan I helped a certain company develop for about 2 years ago, and of course they were looking for funding, and they wanted something very quick, and of course I did it as professionally as I could. But now when they submitted it, and of course they were called to go and present, there are some questions that they could not answer. So of course they had to reschedule another meeting with that funder. I was called to go to that. I go with them to that presentation, and I spoke. Of course the questions were being asked. They were responding. So the funder asked one question. So they asked, "Are you the director?" So they were asking me, "Are you the director of this company, or is it this other person?" Because they couldn't understand. So even if you get someone to do it for you, at least have an idea what's really happening.
What happened? Did they get
have
the
an
funding?
idea of how you visualize that business to be. Well, yeah, they eventually got the funding.
They were lucky, I think. They didn't make the sharks.
They were so scared. They thought they're going to lose it. But now we had agreed. Now from there on, I think they have to understand where exactly their business is, and at least I'm happy that even up to date we're still working and we're still building the company. We've been helping them to build the systems, create the policies they require, training for their staff. So you need to be able to understand A to Z. Even if you engage a consultant or you have a mentor to work with you, just be able to know A to Z of your business. I hope I've answered you, Sophia.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Timothy. I think there's so many questions to ask about business plan, but in the interest of time, I don't know.
Yeah.
I cannot ask another one. So I would like to thank you very much for taking the time to come and answer this question, our questions. And I will definitely look for you. I will give you a call tomorrow, actually.
Sure.
I will SMS you so that we agree on the time, because Yes, there are a number of questions. Basically, I feel like, I don't know whether you can comment on this quickly. I feel like even if you write a business plan for yourself, you still need guidance for someone to assist you, because really, with the experience I had, I had 2 business plans made for my business. I always felt like I need guidance. And that is why I'm telling you I'll call you tomorrow, because even now I feel like I need guidance.
It's important. It's important. And of course, guidance comes in different ways on the market. Is this viable? Am I doing the right format? Is this the right approach? So I normally say yes, guidance is very, very important.
Yes. Thank you very much. So thank you so much, Timothy, for your time. Thank you, Sophia, for coming.
Thank you.
And asking questions. And so I'm looking forward to our interactions, and I would like to invite the people who are watching now to watch the master classes that are in the platform, and those who are not member yet of Top Achievers Network, please join Top Achievers, and so that you will have access to a number of master classes, at least one master class every month. So thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Sophie. Have a nice evening. And
Thank you.
have a nice weekend
Thank
too.
you. You too.
Okay. Bye.